Italy is one of the most economically divided countries in the EU, with its rich north accounting for a large share of the country's GDP and the depressed and underdeveloped south often viewed as the land of organized crime. A study by Svimez, a private association for development in Italy's southern regions, is facing possible human and industrial desertification, and that its gap with the wealthy north has become increasingly wide.
Only 6 million people have a job in the south, the same amount recorded in the 70s. Young people from southern regions continue to relocate to the north or abroad. Birth rate in these areas is extremely low, as southerners become poorer and poorer. In our opinion, this is due to a lack of economic strategy, lack of industrial investments, combined with a high level of crime.
When we think about Italian culture, what comes to mind? You might think about the famous landmarks associated with Italy, the incredible food, the beautiful nature of the people that inhabit the country. But unless you're aware of the deep and elongated history of Italy as a country, not many people realise that the Italian culture has in fact faced many challenges. And these challenges still exist today through the division between the north and the south of Italy. From antiquity through to the 20th century, Italy was at the forefront of Western cultural development and the foundation and origin of the Etruscan civilizations, the Roman Empire, and the Italian Renaissance, to name a few, all of which influenced and impacted the development of the Italian peninsula. However, the unification of Italy was an extremely long process that didn't take place until 1861. It took about 400 years for the common language to become the language of all Italians. But although Italy unified in 1861, there is still a questione meridionale, southern question, which continues to influence and shape the cultural identity and history of Italy. Let us first consider the division between North and South in purview of its historical context. The Italian state as we know it today was formed on the back of an extensive and extended reorganization, or risorgimento. During the second half of the 18th century, a bourgeoisie revolution was underway in Italy's north and south, displacing its aristocracy and exploiting large masses of peasants. By the end of the 18th century, this wealthy middle class ensured that capitalism was prevalent in both the northern and southern regions of Italy. In the immediate post-war period, Italy was left impoverished. In the northern regions, productivity was reduced, whereas in the significantly worse-off south, problems mounted. The south was severely underdeveloped relative to the industrial north. The mafia regained substantial power in some of the regions of southern Italy, first in Sicily, followed by Calabria and Campania. Efforts at reconstruction post-war and a recalibration of society away from the horrors of an autocratic regime were ironically hindered by the emergence of democratic organizations that dallied over divisions between communism and the Christian Democrats. However, the North-South separation maintained its supremacy in broad practice. This was reflected in the ongoing debate that continued to characterize the questione meridionale among public opinion makers and scholars. So too did the depictions of the South find their way into popular culture, and Giovanni Comisso describes the arrival of southern Italian migrants to parts of the North. From 1958 to 1962, there was a huge move in modern Italy's economic and social structure, otherwise known as the Miracolo Economico, and this period of growth resulted in transformation across the country, even in parts of the south. The country was expanding its industrial status and power at an amount previously unseen. Before this time, the nation was still in vital stages of improvement, with agriculture being its largest segment of occupation, particularly in the Mezzogiorno. Italy's north was gaining significantly from national and international manufacturing investment, including notably Fiat's new production line based in Italy, as well as many other new investors wishing to take advantage of Italy's general low costs of labour and need for work. This was known as the economic miracle, and it was about to rapidly change Italy, not just economically, but socially. While the populace of North Italy were undergoing benefits from this industrial surge, those in the south of the country were still disadvantaged. The south had gained little during this miracle, and so many southerners decided to emigrate overseas or towards the north in search of work and an improved quality of life for themselves and their families. Reaction to these immigrants among northern Italians showed how deeply popular attitudes had been informed by the north-south dichotomy, which underpinned the Questione Meridionale. This was the era when the derogatory use of the epithet terroni became common throughout the north to signify southern Italians solely by their specific backgrounds. A more contemporary film, which contains a representation of the South in contemporary Italy, is Benvenuti al Sud. The movie revolves around stereotypes of both the North and South, but mainly follows a postal worker's expectations of what the South will be like and how his new life changes those stereotypes. From the perspective of the protagonist and all of his friends in the North, Naples is essentially a run-down, crime-ridden area filled with low-class and nefarious types. These stereotypes contrast starkly with the truth revealed in these films. Benvenuti al Sud is a common example of the cultural tensions that have been brought about by the divide in Italy. Whilst northern Italy is very industrial, many parts of southern Italy still remain poor and underdeveloped. People of the south continue to hold on to their traditional family values and customs, whilst those in the north believe in an every man for himself approach. With this has come complications, as the South remains backward and unwilling to let go of their provincial identity.
Al sud, tipo Bologna.
Sei stato trasferito vicino Napoli.
A Napoli?
Ci resterai 2 anni.
2 anni?
Oh mia bella Madonnina, che te brille te
No, perché mi hanno detto che qui al meridione facciamo un gran caldo. Invece, prima la posta la portavano i cammelli. Poi addirittura erano beduini. Che fa proprio, vi piglia per il culo. Mi hanno mandato apposta per farvi lavorare. Quindi cerchiamo di ottimizzare il lavoro. Grazie.
No, è l'odore di naftalina che mia mamma la mette ovunque.
Ma perché sono i topi? Topini saranno.
I nonni topi è tanto.
Ma vivono qui.
No, si hanno affittato un monolocale a fianco.
From a cultural perspective, discrimination of Southerners by those from the North still exists. Gradually, migration of Southerners to the North is reducing the threat as they become integrated in the North. The fact that many Northerners will now vacanze in the South also shows a softening in their attitude towards Southern culture. Whilst these positives exist, many from the North will still not venture south because of the fear of criminal activity extorted by the mafioso. Overall, the Italian culture has changed dramatically over time, facing various different challenges, and it is evident that the Questione Meridionale has not been solved, and in the future there will be no hope for Italy to reunify itself as a nation thriving economically and socially unless programs are implemented not to fund the South, but instead to assimilate the South effectively into what Giuseppe Garibaldi initially envisioned in 1861.